and that you had a great week. As you can see, I'm not in my usual location. If you didn't know already, I'm in Wimbledon. It's about 7:10. Everyone's starting the day. It's very noisy, as you can hear. It's the 4th of July, and to all of my US subscribers, if you're celebrating today, happy Independence Day. If you're not from the US or you're not celebrating today, I want to wish you a happy Friday. Welcome to you all. Grab yourselves a drink and make yourselves comfortable. If you're passing by and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez. This is Chez M0i. Welcome to my place.
Question for you.
What do you get when a Duke and his beloved Duchess enjoy the fruits of their self-motivated labour in the face of constant vilification? Answer: a future king and queen who are praised for performing half-heartedly and very reluctantly what are laughingly called their royal duties. From Harry and Meghan's engagement announcement right up until the day before their wedding, I always noticed how Harry would have his right hand inside the left side of his jacket, as if he were trying to slow down his heart rate and calm his anxiety. After Harry and Meghan got married, I noticed a very different Harry emerging. A confident Harry who no longer places his right hand over his heart as a protective reflex. A self-assured Harry who can address an audience without referring to notes. A sensitive Harry who is not afraid to express what he feels. A defiant Harry who dares to challenge his father and brother, who think that issuing threats automatically results in subjugation. An unapologetic Harry who knows about the injustice of remaining silent. A Harry who is more at peace with himself because he knows that he has the emotional and domestic support of a wife and children who truly love him. We know that the Sussexes are a powerhouse together, and we observe the same when they work independently. Just like when we saw Meghan's rosé wine launch on the 1st of July, which, according to the media, was the wrong date to do so, because it was what would have been her late mother-in-law's 64th birthday. I could be completely wrong, but I'd imagine that Meghan chose this date as a way to mark Diana's memory, because from what I recall, Diana was a woman who loved to socialise and be in great company. Well, let's not kid ourselves, guys. Any date would have been a wrong date for Meghan's wine launch in the eyes of the detractors. However, as far as we, her supporters, are concerned, no date is a wrong date because a pattern has been well and truly established. As you all already know, as ever, rosé sold out in under an hour. The whining of which I speak takes place on this side of the pond because, as we are fully aware, the toxic British media now has a sinister obsession with Meghan's jam, which we still can't get enough of, figuratively and literally. Earlier this week, the soon-to-be axed Loose Women had M0i as a guest on their show. Listen to this exchange between a bitter and twisted Janet Street Porter and Emma, who recently interviewed Meghan on her podcast Aspire. Let me know what you make of this.
But I tell you what, Janet, you really enjoyed the Meghan one, didn't you?
I thought the Meghan one was good.
Thank you.
You put her on the spot and then it wasn't as easy as perhaps she was expecting. What do you...
I mean, I don't know. You know, I am really interested in what people are doing, like, under the hood, right? It's like, I really want to get, like, I'm like, great, I get it. You made some jam and you're going to sell that. Like, what does it take to actually, like, start a proper business?
Well, you don't think, Emma, with all due respect, she didn't make that jam herself?
She made, you know, she's making a brand. I mean, do I make the knickers myself?
Yeah.
No. So that's where we are. Good answer.
I'm happy to see, however, that there is indeed one journalist who demonstrated journalistic integrity when she shut down this presenter who has one of the sourest faces I've ever seen.
A lot of people are saying, you know, why does it matter? This is a recipe, and it's just based on her own homemade jam, but it does send out a message. People think they're buying into the illusion of something crafted by royal hands or formerly royal hands. It's not quite as it seemed.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think this is the gotcha moment that the press are hoping for. This is actually industry standard. To meet demand, she obviously has to outsource where it's manufactured. She can't set up a production line in her kitchen. But as I said, this is complete industry standard. If you look at Martha Stewart, she's had a whole career on building homemade products, food products, and also homeware products. They're all manufactured in Pennsylvania while she lives in New York. So I don't see her anytime soon setting up a production line in her New York kitchen to meet demand. And even if you look at the Windsor Strawberry Reserve that's being sold on the Windsor website, that's not made in Windsor. Believe it or not, it's made elsewhere in factories around the UK. So yeah, this isn't the gotcha moment that people are hoping for. It's actually just a smart business move, really. If she wants to be able to meet demand this time round and not sell out within a half an hour like she did the last time, this is the only way to do it.
Oh, you're being very charitable there. But what about the carbon footprint? Here's a couple that fly to the Google climate change conference, stand there barefoot, having flown on a private jet, and they're flying jam 2,000 miles across America. You're not telling me they could make that jam a little bit nearer to their Hollywood estate?
Well, the carbon footprint is actually every single business out there. If you look at all the businesses, large companies, all the ones that we know today, they all use manufacturing plants that aren't in the location where the product was created. So it's just industry standard. It happens. If we're looking at Meghan Markle with this fine tooth comb, that means we have to open it up and look at absolutely every single massive business in the world and ask, why are you producing it so far away from home? Shouldn't this be produced in your kitchen? What about the carbon footprint? Do you know, it can't be one rule for Meghan and then other rule for other global businesses.
Well, I think perhaps it can, because if you're sanctimonious about people's everyday carbon consumption, about we should all cut down on holidays, we should all be lean, green and clean, and then you're flying jam jars 2,000 miles, I think those with glass houses or glass jam jars shouldn't throw stones.
Well, are you going to look into the carbon footprint of the Windsor Strawberry Reserve that is made elsewhere in the UK? We're flying that around the world. Lots of Americans buy that. More Americans buy that than people in the UK. So are we going to ask the Windsors what's going on there? Are they offsetting their carbon footprint?
Do you work for Alan? Do you work for Meghan Markle?
No, I don't. But what I am is a journalist, and I'm fair, and I like unbiased reporting. So that's what I base my reporting on. And I think that actually all the reporting on Meghan Markle has been very biased.
When we turn our attention to William, to me, he is still that painfully awkward child in a 43-year-old man's body, who would rather be doing anything except what he was groomed to become from the day he was born. William and Kate are definitely a match made in heaven, because neither appear to be able to address audiences authentically and articulately, whether the subject is about football,
I know there's a huge expectation on you now from your successes. That is good. That's also going to be in the back of your minds a bit as you go out there. But I know how you're going to play. You're going to play with freedom. You're going to play with team camaraderie and teamwork. And I've been saying to a few of you, the men's team can definitely learn off your camaraderie and your team environment.
Or cancer.
You know, you put on sort of brave-faced stoicism through treatment. The treatment's done. Yeah. So I can crack on and get back to normal again. But actually, the phase afterwards is really, is a really difficult journey. You're not necessarily in the clinical team any longer, but you're not able to function normally at home as you perhaps once used to. And actually, someone to help talk you through that, show you and guide you through that sort of phase that comes after treatment, I think is really valuable.
The future king and queen don't appear to have mastered the arts of articulacy and fluency when they engage with their future so-called subjects. As much as Kate wants to sound like a 1950s newsreader being filmed in black and white, let's remind ourselves about the background she's trying her hardest to run away from.
Who better to ask about that than a member of her own family? Her uncle, Gary Goldsmith, has just been evicted from the celebrity Big Brother house. Let's have a quick look at what he had to say when he came out on Friday.
I'm Gary Goldsmith, the uncle to the future Queen of our country, Catherine Middleton.
I'm just fascinated in why you are here.
Because I'm not that caricature that's portrayed in the press.
It does bother me, the black sheep of the royal family.
They call me a bunkle. You heard of a bunkle? No. Bad uncle.
I can show people that I'm not that person.
I don't think he's that comfortable here. Just a little awkward.
I'm a lot awkward.
And Gary joins us now, fresh from eviction after a few days in the house. In your first interview with Late and Live, you said, "I've had the best time. I went in with an agenda and I've achieved it in 5 days." And I wondered, what was that agenda that you went in with?
Thank you for having me. The agenda was to try and change perceptions. So
of you?
Of myself, yeah. People think of me as the black sheep, and there's lots of baggage that follows me around. And Levi, who I love, by the way, and Fern, gave me the opportunity to say who I really am and what my purpose of being in the house was. And they said that I'd achieved it. I had changed perceptions of the people in the house, which I loved. And if I've had that, or even a smidgen of that impact on the rest of the UK, then that's tick box, mission accomplished.
Even though you were evicted straight away?
I'm not a celebrity, so I'm not really part of that world. I just got to have a little sneaky peek behind the scenes and let the professionals carry on entertaining the nation. It's not my bag. I'm a businessman, but I got the opportunity to do something which is completely left-sided. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. But
if you're not a celebrity, why do you think you were in there?
Exactly. I'm saying no to after being 50, I'm touching 60 now, I say yes to pretty much everything that comes past me. So I was afforded the opportunity, obviously, to share some goss about the fam. And I think I did that with respect. I think they trusted me to not put a foot out of place.
Have you spoken to the family since you've come out? Because, of course, your sister is Kate's mum, Carol. Have you talked to her?
No, not yet.
Have you tried to talk to her?
Oh, it's been a whirlwind, so I haven't even had a chance really to speak to anybody.
So you don't know how your behaviour in the house has gone down with the family, the number of times you mentioned Kate?
Apparently it was quite a lot. But that was the one thing that people were asking of me because nobody knew anything else about
That can't have been a surprise.
No, I was kind of prepared for it. It's the one thing that would happen. I wasn't volunteering it. People were asking questions. And I was trying to be as honest and forthright as I can.
This photograph has emerged this morning over the weekend, actually, of Kate. Does anything about it strike you as odd? Or were you as reassured as everyone was supposed to be? The purpose of the photograph is to show her healthy, happy, smiling with her children.
The smiles on faces said it all for me. I thought it was beautiful. Obviously, the family wouldn't be the ones to do any touch-ups. So if that's gone through some filter before it's gone out to the broader world, but they wouldn't be doing photoshopping themselves. But all I was looking at is the faces and the smiles, and it just looked like a beautiful family that they are, and it looked really genuine as for the smiles on faces. And this whole sleeve gate thing, just leave it alone.
When was
Just
the last
enjoy
time
it.
you spoke to Kate?
I spoke to Kate for ages.
Ages is how long?
Years.
How many years?
Maybe a year. So it's weddings and funerals, unfortunately. We don't really get to see them that often. Pippa more so, James more so, my godfather, and my sister I checked when Kate was in hospital.
I want to take you back to something you said just at the beginning of the interview, and also that you said in the house, and that is that you wanted to change perceptions of yourself.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't directly talk about that in the house, what that was about, but was that about your conviction for domestic assault?
Okay. There are lots of things that I'm regretful of. I try to live my best life, but I fail consistently. That was a horrific episode. There are two sides to every story, but ours was never heard. It was considered by the judge that both my wife and I were intoxicated, so they discounted everything we said, and they only listened to a taxi driver who sold a story. And it's best at that position to put your hands up. I am far from innocent in that whole situation, and I've regretted it for 7 years, and I'm trying to do everything I can day by day to be a better person. I love my wife dearly. We're still very much in love. It was a very tough period of time, and it wasn't the best of me.
One of the things about being a celebrity is that your life will be raked over, and that is inevitably going to come up, isn't it, over and over again?
The headlines about me are from 20 years ago or 7 years ago, and the fake shake piece, who had been apparently targeting me for 2 years to try and find something. So we were aware that all of their stuff would come up, and my wife and I talked long and hard about me doing this because it almost had been sort of packed away. But I want my life to be different for my daughter. I want her to, be super proud or more proud of me.
But you did refer to this. You said in the opening video when you went into Big Brother, you said, I'm an absolute nightmare to live with. There's a reason I've had 4 wives. I mean, is the reason that you beat a wife up, or is there another reason that you were alluding to there?
Wow, Ed. No, there was one thing that happened 7 years ago. I'm not a serial wife beater.
Right, okay.
But thanks for
that. So what is the reason that you were
I'm just very... I'm slightly selfish. I'm a workaholic. I work 7 days a week, and I still do. And I generally put work first, and I should always put family on the front foot. So that's what I'm doing.
Do you think overall it was a good thing to have been in the Celebrity Big Brother house? And do you feel now that you can go and do other jobs like this?
No. I'm not interested in the business of show. So that was never the case. It was an opportunity for me to show more people what I'm actually like. There's a reason why, when all of these things have happened to me, I've never lost a friend, I've never lost any business. People who generally know me think that is a caricature that's played out in the mainstream press.
Of course, you had the opportunity to be yourself.
Yeah.
In The Crown, your sister Carol is played by an actress to a script. When you watch that depiction of your sister in The Crown, Kate's mum, who's kind of planning and scheming her daughter's ascent, do you recognise that depiction?
No,
of her?
it's as far removed from the truth as could possibly be. Like there was a war room in Hungerford where they're planning,
exactly.
If we can put Kate here, William would be there. The absolute rubbish. So, I thought my sister was slightly victimised in that. It was just mean.
I thought the same.
And you haven't spoken to your sister. You say it's been a whirlwind. You're now on national television. Is there anything you would like to say to your family this morning?
Well, I love them very much, and I wish this whole thing about that picture looks beautiful, and they should be very proud of that. And my sister we're very similar people. She's an absolute rock star. So to my family, love you very much. Really proud of what you're doing. And Kate is an absolute treasure. So we're very lucky to have her.
Gary Goldsmith, thank you for being with us this morning.
So guys, I just want to quickly interject. Having listened to this after a year, it just reminded me of points that I wanted to make. And I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing. First of all, his accent. He does not have the same accent as Kate. They come from a working class background. Okay. Him saying that The Crown depicted Carol as someone who orchestrated Kate's infiltration into the family as nonsense is not nonsense. It's well documented. But obviously he's going to say the contrary. Anyway, back to the accent. It doesn't sound anything like Kate's received pronunciation, 1950s. I don't even know what to call it. Very clipped. To the point where I personally can never understand what she says. It's not just this latest address that people are dragging her for. I find it difficult to listen to her. And this is not me being facetious or cruel. I struggle because it's not fluent. It's very forced. And the other thing that struck me is Carol Middleton's appearance at Ascot, even when Kate made no appearance that second day. I would have expected Carol to go and check on her daughter and just be with her. You know, I don't know what the situation was. It's private for Kate. She didn't want to attend for whatever reason. I don't feel sorry for her position, but I empathise with Kate having to have faced, the booing recently and not being as popular as she was led to believe. I empathise. I don't sympathise, I empathise. I can try and put myself in her shoes, okay? So, Carol, her mother, I would have expected her to go and see to her daughter rather than parade herself with William front and centre in front of the cameras for all the world to see. So clearly her image was more important than the welfare of her eldest child. I just find it, I actually don't have any words. I can't even say how I find it because I have no words. Essentially, Carol Middleton and Kate do not want to know this man because he's an embarrassment to them. I did watch that series of Big Brother. I'm not a fan of Big Brother, but I did watch that series last year just to see what he would say about Harry and Meghan. And obviously it wasn't favourable. And it's not even worth me repeating what he said. It was of no consequence, to be quite honest. They're doing a lot better than he is. Okay. The point that I wanted to make was that he has retreated back into obscurity. He was the first evictee from Big Brother and no one's heard of him since. I'm sure Carol must have had a go at him saying that, you've embarrassed us yet again. She doesn't want anything to do with this man. As much as he's trying to climb back into that family, they want nothing to do with him. Kate certainly doesn't, because it tarnishes her image. It tarnishes her reputation, any association with him. But one thing I will say, guys, I understand that he's a successful businessman, albeit through some dodgy practices, allegedly, because I have to say allegedly. I don't know these people, okay? Allegedly. Nonetheless, I think Kate would do well to have an association with her uncle, or bunkle, as he's referred to, because maybe he could teach her a thing or two about a diligent work ethic. Who knows? I just find it so laughable, the fact that they want you to steer away from Kate's maternal side of the family, which is very troublesome, and they always deflect to Meghan's paternal side when it comes to troublesome relatives. I just find it so interesting, because Kate and William want to keep their reputation squeaky clean, but we know, guys, it is anything but. Going back to Kate addressing a room full of cancer survivors, the vacant facial expressions of those people represent how many of us feel that we're being taken for idiots, because by not appearing at the second day of Ascot, Kate forgot that in just over a week's time, she's due to be where I am right now. Kate speaking to this room full of people at this particular time was no more than her trying to remove the label of laziness that she's well and truly earned. Quite frankly, it's an insult to our intelligence. Harry and Meghan used 2024 to prepare the groundwork for 2025, and it's paying dividends, while William and Kate used 2024 to prepare for 3 holidays they took in the first half of 2025. Skiing in January, the Caribbean in February, and skiing again in April. My house guests, who have unfortunately been dealing with cancer, have told me time and time again that they don't have the energy to do basic everyday tasks. So it baffles me how Kate doesn't have the capacity to perform her duties, but definitely has the capacity to travel abroad purely for enjoyment. Should we have really expected anything else, guys? Even Queen Elizabeth is reported to have told Kate when she became engaged to William to get a job and stop going on holiday. Clearly, that instruction went in through one ear and came out the other. And while Charles is still seeking ways to reduce costs to the taxpayer,
let's start with our first talking point. Are the royals worth the money? The royal family's private royal train will be decommissioned as part of King Charles's drive to modernise the monarchy and reduce costs. The royals cost the taxpayer £86.3 million a year. Are they worth it, Sonia?
I think in a short answer, yes, but I also really agree with what the King's trying to do, which is to scale back a little bit at a time there's a cost of living crisis. He's actually been talking about this for a really long time. Back when he was Prince Charles, he talked a lot about how he wanted to scale back, reduce the number of working royals. I guess, you know, to give a sense that Britain really is getting good value for money from the royal family. So this is very much part of that initiative. I think the thing is, though, is yes, they cost us quite a bit a year. So in total, it's estimated they cost £86.3 million a year via a grant from the government, which is called the Sovereign Grant. But you've also got to look at what we get back from that. And the estimate is that when it comes to the tourism industry, the royal family generate more than £1.7 billion a year. So that's much more than the money that we're paying. And I think it really speaks to our culture and the way we're seen around the world. When you think about what's the first thing tourists want to come and see when they're in London, well, it's, Big Ben and Buckingham Palace. The monarchy is very much part of our culture. It's how we project ourselves around the world. So I think we'd be really, even though there were all these absurdities of having a constitutional monarchy, we'd really be missing something, I think, if we took it away.
What do you think, Nick? Do they need to pare it back a little bit? The latest accounts for 2024 to 25 show that the train was only used on 2 occasions, which of course raises questions about the maintenance and storage costs.
Yeah, I think Sonia's right, and I think we're seeing a very responsible approach here from King Charles, and it is difficult to justify the royal train. I think probably his mother, the late Queen, was rather more fond of it than he is, and quite rightly now at times he uses a helicopter. But let's just see the value they are of in, and here we are. I think we're seeing inside the royal train there. Yeah. Yes, that's so. Apparently, it's not been changed much in decor since the late 1970s. It was loved by the Queen. It has monogrammed stationery and goodness knows what, full-length baths. It's like no other train I've ever heard of. Wow. But if we now move to the reality, suspend your view of Donald Trump for a moment, whether you think he's bad, good, or somewhere in between the two. The value of a royal invitation, a state visit that Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, was able to do when he pulled out the letter that was signed by the King. This, when a country like the United Kingdom is trying to and needs to forge trade deals with countries such as the US, India, elsewhere in the world, the value that the King or the monarchy in whole has is immeasurable. So 86, I think you said, £1 million. Multiply that by whatever number for the soft power they give us. Every world leader wants their photograph taken with the monarch, whether it's the late Queen or whether it's the King. You cannot buy that sort of impact. If we couldn't have it, we'd be trying to get it. So I think it's hugely globally important.
Well, it does say recent attempts to measure the size of the impact of the royal family on UK tourism has been estimated that the capital value to be 67.5 billion, up from 44 billion in 2012.
But what's immeasurable is the fact that a Prime Minister can visit a King or a Queen and say, look, we're very keen to do a trade deal with New Zealand, with Australia, with Brazil. Is there any way I could lean on you? Possibly, would you make a state visit there? Could we invite a state visit from their Prime Minister? You cannot, Kat, you cannot put a price on that.
Yeah.
The media should really stop whining about Meghan and Harry and begin to ask serious questions about whether the future of an already fragile monarchy can be reliably left in the hands of William and Kate. So guys, I'm going to wrap up the video here because, believe it or not, I'm still at Wimbledon and I don't have anywhere to film privately to sign off. So much to unpack, and I know you're going to go in the comments and I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to say. Even with this last segment with regard to the decommissioning of the royal train, you know, the commentator Nick Ferrari said, oh, you know, Charles now goes around in helicopters. Like helicopters are $10 or £10. These things cost money, and this is how they travel. These people are not relatable. I wish I could get into a helicopter and just, you know, whiz around the country whenever I wanted to. The royal train is too slow for Charles. He wants a helicopter. They've got more than one apparently. But you guys, as I say, you know more than I do. So let off in the comments, guys. Let off in the comments, because I don't even understand what is happening right now. Every week it becomes more and more intense. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I apologise once again for not coming on camera at the end. But as I say, I don't have anywhere private to film because I'm still at Wimbledon. So with that said, if your thoughts were provoked in any way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and you shall catch me in the next video.